In this video I'm gonna go through the video specs of Olympus OMD E-M5 Mark III, and I will tell you why that camera is the best vlogging camera on the market right now. Hi there, I'm Peter Forsgaard, an Olympus visionary and a professional photographer from Helsinki, Finland. And before we start talking about the video specs of Olympus OMD E-M5 Mark III, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit that bell so you get notified when there is a new video online. My channel is all about you getting to be a better photographer and also about Olympus gear. And remember, I post 2 videos a week, usually on Tuesdays and on Fridays. But let's start to talk about Olympus OMD E-M5 Mark III and its video specs. And we start with the menu. Video features have its own menu system in the newest Olympus OMD cameras. And the first thing you need to set up and check out are the specifications of your videos. And you have 4K up to 30 frames per second, and the other options are 24 and 25p. Then you have Cinema 4K, which is 17:9 aspect ratio. The other different video settings have 16:9 aspect ratio, so it's a bit different. This one is a bit wider. The other 4K is called Ultra HD, and then you have Full HD with different compressions. You have All Intra and you have IPB, and the All Intra is the one that has better quality. So my recommendations for specs are either one of those 4Ks, or then you have the Full HD with All Intra. And that will give you the best results. Then what frame rate you are going to use is all up to you, except if you choose the Cinema 4K, that has only 24p. The other ones have 24, 25 and 30. And then there is slow motion. You have 4 different options for that. It will record them 120 frames per second, and then it will slow it down in camera, and you can choose it from 24 frames per second, 25 and 30 and I think 60 frames per second, but that's Full HD. And then you don't have, of course, the sound is not available, so you cannot record audio at the same time, and then you won't have a continuous autofocus. You only have a single autofocus, or of course you can use manual focus. But remember, no audio and no continuous autofocus with slow motion. And here are some examples of that slow motion. The quality is quite good, but of course it's not as good because the bitrate is very low. It's only 18 compared to Cinema 4K, where it's 237. But it's a very good feature to have, and for some occasions it's really nice to use. So I think it's very good that it's here, because for example, E-M1 Mark II does not have slow motion. The E-M1X has, but now I'm glad that the E-M5 Mark III has it also, because it's sometimes nice to use slow motion. Then you have an option to reduce noise in camera. I usually have this off because I usually do noise reduction in post, if I do any, because I very seldom use any high ISO when I do video. So I really not worried about noise in that sense. But if you make videos in dark conditions, then you might want to try out how the noise reduction works in camera. And there are different levels. You got low, medium and high, and you need to test that, how that works. Then you can choose to have the movie picture mode on, and this will make your camera to shoot flat mode. The E-M5 Mark III does not have OM400 log. That's only in E-M1 Mark II and E-M1X. The odd thing about making the flat mode available is that it will make all the other picture modes unavailable, and I don't understand why. I think a better way could be that you have the flat mode like a regular one of those picture modes. And now if you want to use the other picture modes, you need to turn the movie picture mode off, and then you have the option to use all different kinds of picture modes. You even have the art mode. The art modes can be sometimes useful if you don't want to do anything in post. It's a quick way of doing, you know, a look to your video. But remember, don't overdo it. Do not use them all at the same time, or you can use them at the same time, but in the same video. That will be horrible. But if you choose one of them and shoot your video with that could actually work. The focusing method. I usually use continuous autofocus with tracking, and I have the face priority on, so that the autofocus tracks my face when I do these videos. And I think that's a very useful feature when doing video. But most of the time I prefer manual focus in videos, but I do a lot of interviews for corporate interviews. Then I use mostly the autofocus with face priority on. It will stick on the face of the people who is interviewed, so it works really nicely. And if I want to use manual focus, then I use the MF clutch. It's a fast way of having the manual focus available. Image stabilizer is very good in Olympus cameras. You can use them handheld, no problem. You can get that really nice handheld and smooth movement on your video. And that's something that is really great. I often shoot my corporate videos that I make for clients handheld because it looks better. You have this nice and slight movement when you're using handheld cameras. And I always have the image stabilizer MKII because then it uses optical, or actually uses the IBIS, not optical, it uses the IBIS, the stabilizer that's inside the body. Addition to that, you have a digital stabilizer also. And that's a bit better than the MKII, because if you don't have the digital, then you might have some wobbling in the corners of the video. And with the or the MKII, you do not have those. When you have the stabilizer on, when you're using video, the movie stabilizer, then you will have a slight crop in your image and or on your footage, and the crop is roughly 2.2, I would say, just roughly. But if you turn off the stabilizer, for example, when you have your camera on a tripod, then you will have the same crop as you would if you would take an image. So it doesn't crop, so it takes from the whole sensor, which is good. If you want that extra wide angle and you're using a tripod, then you might want to turn it off. But if you're doing handheld, then definitely have it on. It's totally amazing. It's great. Olympus cameras are very customizable for still photos, and the same applies to video. You have lots and lots of options to choose from how you want to set your buttons and dials for video shooting. I have only customized 2 buttons. The first one is that I use the shutter button as my rec button, so that I can press the shutter button, I will turn on the recording on my camera when I do videos. And then the second one is that I have customized the ISO button to be the digital teleconverter, which is a very handy tool to get a bit closer in video, and it doesn't really ruin your image that much. And I made a video about the digital teleconverter, or when doing still photography, and it works on that too, but I think it's more use when you do use it on videos. And I think it's a great feature also to get, you know, zoom in really fast if you need to. And from here you can customize what you see on your LCD and EVF while shooting video. And I think 2 things are important. You need to see your exposure. That's why you always should have the histogram on, and then have on the silent operation, where you can actually, with the silent operation, you can adjust the ISO, shutter speed, aperture, and audio levels. And of course the 3 first ones, the shutter speed, ISO, and aperture, is not that important, because you don't want to change your exposure during video shoot. That most likely won't look good, but sometimes you might need to do that, but try to avoid that. But audio levels is a different thing. If you all of a sudden realize that you have too high, and if you have too high audio levels and then you clip your audios, it will be horrible. So with that, you can silently lower your audio levels so that the audio won't clip, if that's the case. Having the silent operations on, you can use this from the LCD, and it doesn't make any sound. It doesn't ruin your audio if you have an external mic in top of your camera. And if you have an electronic zoom, you can control it silently from the LCD screen also. It's a very handy way of zooming in and zooming out. But it's important to set the zoom speed from the menu system. I usually have it the slowest possible, because zooming too fast in a video is usually not that good. But of course that depends on your style of making videos. But I prefer set this to be slow. I think that's a very good feature, that you can control things silently on your Olympus camera from the LCD. Movie sound has to be turned on so that the camera can record the audio. I never use the internal mic on my camera. I always have an external mic, like now I have a lavalier mic, the Rode wireless Go mics. But sometimes I do have external mics, shotgun mics on top of my camera. It depends on the situation. And for some mics you need to have the plug-in power on so that the mic jack will give you power for the microphone. And if you have an Olympus LS4 or LS100 external recorder and you have a connecting cable to your camera, you can turn on the audio recording at the same time as you press the shutter button to start the video recording, so that you won't forget to turn on the audio. That's a good thing, because if you forget to turn on the audio, you're in trouble. And it's a good thing that you have the ability to adjust the audio levels from camera also to your external recorder. So if you want to do that, have this option on. An Olympus OMD EM5 Mark III can only output Full HD to an external recorder. And that's a pity, because if you have the OMD EM5 Mark III as your C camera, you might want to record it to the external recorder to get a bit better quality. But unfortunately you can't do it in 4K, you need to have only Full HD. But it's better than nothing. And on the side of the camera you have the microphone jack, but you do not have the headphone jack. But I will tell you later why that might not be that bad after all. But before we get into the why this camera is most likely the best vlogging camera on the market right now, there's one more thing about shooting video. Always use manual mode when setting your exposure. You do not want the exposure to change during your recording. That looks really unprofessional and not very good at all. And the same goes with the white balance. Always have a preset for your white balance, or then set a custom white balance for exact Kelvin color for your light. If you have a external light and you know what the kelvins are from that light, set that to your camera so that you will have a constant exposure white balance throughout your recording, and that looks a lot better. Now that we have gone through the specs and I have said my or told you my recommendations, let's talk about the claim that I made in the beginning of this video, that why this camera is the best vlogging camera on the market right now. It's really small and light, and it's easy to hold like this, as you can see, no problem. Even though I'm not a very muscular guy, I still find it very easy to hold like this. And I have the kit lens on this right now, so this 14mm lens. This works really well. You have enough space on the sides here, and light and small, as I've said many times. And the second thing is it has an amazing autofocus. It really sticks in your face if you have the face priority on and the continuous autofocus with tracking. It really tracks your face really well, and I can move and it will track really nicely. So it's amazingly good. And the third thing is amazing image stabilizer. You can really make images and videos handheld, no problem at all. It's really good. It's 5.5 stops and all the way up to 6.5 stops. It depends on the lens. On this one I think it's now 5.5. But as you can see, I don't have any gimbal. I'm just holding it like this, and it looks really amazing. And I have the MIS1 on this one, so that I don't get any wobbling on the corners of the video. And you know, with these specs and with these features, and with the amazing size, small and light, then you have the perfect autofocus, and then you have the perfect IBIS. I think this is the best vlogging camera in the market right now. And you can challenge me and tell me in the comments down below which one is better. But remember, you might have a camera that has one feature a bit better, but to have this combo this good, the whole package is just perfect for this kind of vlogging or making videos to YouTube or wherever you make them. And you might want to watch next these videos about Olympus OMD EM5 Mark III, and remember to subscribe if you did not yet. But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.